Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over my Elemental Cleave Templar. I'm currently level 56. This character is based around the cleave skill, which, as you can see, it's a melee AoE that hits in a 180-degree arc in front of the player. So, this skill, it has 40% reduced physical weapon damage while dual wielding. But that only affects physical damage, it doesn't affect elemental damage. So when you're dual wielding, you actually hit with both weapons with the same attack. And since you're doing elemental damage with this build, you don't suffer from the reduced physical weapon damage. So I have it linked with weapon elemental damage, life leech, and blood magic. So as you can see, oops, gotta remake this zone. I'll just show off some combat. So, with this build, you want to stack a ton of elemental damage. So as you can see, my main hand and offhands do lots of cold fire and lightning damage. So, I also use the Aura's Wrath and Hatred, and that almost doubles my DPS, so now I do 2200 damage. So let's see here. So I can go through and kill big packs of enemies pretty quickly. So I use cleave for my AoE, but then I use dual strike for my single target. So I do 3100 damage with dual strike. Then I'm also running two curses, Elemental Weakness and Enfeeble. Elemental Weakness makes the enemies lose 43% elemental resistances, and since I'm doing all three types of elemental damage, it's increasing almost all of my damage by 1.43, like multiplicative. And then for tough bosses and things, I run Enfeeble, just so I can stay alive. I also run Enduring Cry, just to give me a little bit extra survivability. So I'll just head back in here and go over my passives. So I started off as a Templar. I grab the mana regen and the elemental damage, and then I go through here and grab the area of effect. Let me just go to town. So I grab these area of effect nodes, which increase the area of cleave, so I can hit a bigger area. I head down and grab these life nodes, the weapon elemental damage nodes, more life nodes, and then I head up here and grab the static blows and chance to shock, so I have 20% chance to shock the enemy on hit with lightning damage, which will give me a huge increase to damage. More life, dex, because most swords require high dex, and cleave can only be used with swords and axes. I get the buff effect passives, which increase the effectiveness of my auras, and I also have resolute technique, so that I can never miss. I go down into Marauder, get all the life and diamond skin passives, more dex, and then I'm heading over here currently and getting these life nodes, I'll be getting these resistances and then these weapon elemental damage nodes, and then eventually heading down, getting these weapon elemental damage nodes, these life nodes, and iron reflexes. So for gear, basically you just want to stack as much elemental damage as possible. So as you see, my weapon here has a lot of fire damage and cold damage, and then you also want attack speed. More cold damage, lightning damage, fire damage, cold damage, lightning damage, cold damage. So just mostly any type of elemental damage you want to get, but you want to prioritize lightning damage because with your static blows passives you have chance to hit or chance to shock on hit with lightning damage, except the duration of the shock depends on the amount of lightning damage you do as a percentage of the enemy's mob health pool. So with more lightning damage you'll shock the enemy for longer and you'll be able to get more shock stacks. So also on belts, you want to try to get to the increased elemental damage with weapons. And the rest, I'm just trying to, for all the rest of my gear, I just try to stack life and resistances. However, my gear isn't that good. I've got pretty low resistances. Once I get my resistances high with better gear, I'll grab the elemental adaptation. So I'll have 80% to all resist. So I plan to get this character to higher level and beat Merciless, and then I'll do maps. And once I start doing maps, I'll probably make another video to talk about how effective it is and everything. But I really recommend this character if you maybe you don't have a lot of currencies, because you really don't need to spend a lot on gear. It's pretty easy to find gear with just added elemental damage, and you don't even need very much to get really high DPS. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you try out this build.